probably the late 80s, early 90s is when I first met Chris Mullinix. I was judging the Maryland State Fair. And it's one of those deals, as a judging team coach, you're always drawn to the young people that are motivated, driven, competitive. They have all those skills that you're looking for as a coach. And so it took me about 5 minutes to watch Chris in the ring showing his little Hereford heifer to realize that this young fella has what he needs to be a very successful judging team member.
I met Chris Mullinix my senior year in high school. I was at a livestock judging contest at the Kansas Beef Expo. My plan was to go straight to Kansas State University and do all those things Kansas State, and getting to know Chris. It felt like a really easy step to go to Butler and judge for him. It really changed my life.
My mom and I were actually at Fort Worth. I was on the Maine Junior Board, and she was a little bit leery of me leaving home and going to a far away school, which El Dorado is not that far. But by some stroke of luck or maybe strategy, Charlotte Mullinix, Chris's mom, sat down next to her during the show. And they just had the best conversation, and obviously Charlotte is Chris's biggest fan, like every mom should be. And my mom left that conversation thinking that, you absolutely have to go there.
I've known Chris my whole life. When I was a young kid, he would bring judging teams up to my parents' place to practice multiple times a year. He left a big impression on me. I also knew quickly that he was passionate about Hereford cattle, and I'm passionate about Hereford cattle. When it came time for me to decide to go down the livestock judging path, there was never a question in my mind that I was going to go judge for Chris at Butler.
The first time I met Chris, he judged my county fair, and it was my first or second year in 4-H, but it wasn't until several years later that I really kind of got to know Chris. Our coach took us out to the Kansas State Fair, and I remember as a young person that just loved it, but didn't really know much about it. I learned more in that night, staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning judging classes from Chris Mullinix than I had ever been able to soak up.
People are drawn to like a Chris Mullinix. We expect leadership out of him, and he provides it. We always had a few heated discussions sometimes on classes, as you would expect. But one thing about Chris, he was always wanting to make himself better and his team better. Chris had that ability to not only be competitive, but also his competitiveness, I think, rubbed off on other members of the team. They looked at him for leadership, and as a result, this success was just pretty natural.
I think the word that I think of when I think of Chris is intense competitor. And that intensity applies to literally everything that he does. Whether that's coaching, whether that's playing spades, he wants to win, and he wants to do it in the right way. I think that really has always kind of made me hold Chris in a really high regard.
Judging for Chris Mullinix was always interesting. I've never met anybody more intense just as a person. He is a competitor. He's going to work you hard. And there's going to be times that he's going to make you question your sanity and his as well when it's negative temperatures outside and he's not wearing a jacket at all because being cold is mental. But it was awesome.
His success in coaching obviously is a great evaluator. He's great in the reason room. I mean, he was when he was a student here. But the other skill that a lot of coaches that are successful have, and he has, is the ability to take a team of 15, 20 different personalities and treat each one of them just a little bit differently to get the most out of them.
When I think of my favorite things about Chris as a coach, his passion, his ability to start with the basics and continue to build off of each student's ability. And he doesn't coach a team by mass. He really focuses on making each individual better each and every day.
What I really appreciated about Chris was that he did a great job of, in my mind, recruiting people and talent rather than just short-term success. And because of that, I had just an exceptional team that I'm still close with today. And Chris, I thought, did a really good job of molding his coaching style or his individual feedback to what phase you were. And so I really appreciated that, because although I knew I was behind, I never felt like I was behind. He said, and I truly believe, that what he cared about was recruiting people that were good stock kids, that were good communicators, that were hungry to learn.
I think one of the biggest things that every young person that's been coached by Chris Mullinix would be very thankful for is the fact that he takes a chance on them. Chris doesn't care where you're from, how much experience you have, anything about your background. He wants, young people that are willing to work for it, young people that are really passionate about it, and I'm an example of that, and many of the other people that he's coached are an example of him meeting a young person at a county fair or seeing them at a 4-H judging contest and taking the time to get to know them and establish a relationship with them, and then someday getting to coach them and help develop them.
We look at past coaches. I think there's been 13 past coaches at Kansas State over the last 100 and some years. And they all had the same goal. It's always been a departmental goal that, yes, we like to be successful, but our real goal is to produce outstanding people. I should not be surprised when I look back at my own students. I look at Chris's students here that are more recently graduated and what they're doing. They are the leaders. They're the leaders in agriculture, and it should not surprise anybody, because I think they came here with the idea that, yeah, we'll have a good experience judging. We'll learn how to have place for animals, but down the road, this is where I want to be, and who can help us get to that point.
I think what makes Chris successful is his willingness to do the little things. Chris isn't the type of person to call something good enough. Chris wants it to be right. And I think that kind of integrity, not only in terms of process and approach to work, also kind of speaks to who he is as a person.
My experience at Butler Community College was life-changing. I mean, it really was. The people that I met, because of the people that Chris recruited and brought together there in the old L-Dog, that's what I'm going to call it, was awesome. When you think back to that, and you think back to the one person that was responsible for it, it was Chris Mullinix. And the impact that he had on not only my life, but my teammates, and all the teams that he's coached has been pretty tremendous. And I guess what I'm the most proud of is to think about all the people that he's coached and what they've all done for the industry. To be a part of his alumni group and his legacy is really humbling.
None of us ever maybe saw this day coming, that he was gonna, turn the reins over and take a step back, but we all know that he's gonna continue to be involved.
I'm looking forward to Chris's opportunity to spend more time with his kids, because I know that he is excited to push his kids to be great at whatever they choose to do, just like he was his students.
I'm proud of what he's done, what he's accomplished, what he will continue to do for Kansas State. Again, those kind like Chris Mullinix are a rare find, and I'm just so fortunate that we're able to have him, as part of our team here at Kansas State, and I think a teammate forever.
Thank you to him and his family, because we've got to know his mom and dad through the process, his brothers, and now his family. That's been really neat that they've allowed us to be a part of their immediate family, and so thanks, Chris and family.
If I thought about what would all the students say about Chris, I think the first thing they'd want to do is say thank you. I think the older his students get, the more developed they get in their career, they look back and realize how valuable their time with him was. The values that he instilled in his students, the basics that he gave them, are still paying dividends that some haven't even discovered yet. And I think that they would each probably have a similar response, maybe in a different way, but I think they just want to say thank you.
On behalf of not just myself, but every young person that Chris has coached over the years, we owe you a big thank you. We thank you for the sacrifices that you made with your own family to put your second family first, all the miles down the road, the late sleepless nights, the gas station food and McDonald's over the years. We can't say thank you enough for your dedication to making young people and making our industry better.